James, on today's show, we are interviewing your good friend from Boston.
Yeah, Jonathan Plaut.
Jonathan Plaut, and he's an attorney.
That's right. Yeah, I first met him when I was in Boston. I was representing a client in New York. We had 3 different cases with this one client, and he was my adversary, actually.
And he's actually worked with big-time clients in
Sure
big-time
has.
court situations.
1,500 cases.
He's written an incredible book, and he's here to join us to talk about why you must read contracts before you sign them, and so much more.
Whoa. Yes, I'll take the case is the name of the book.
3, 2, 1.
Get ready to enter the Thrive Time Show.
We started from the bottom, now we here. We started from the bottom, and we'll show you how to get here. Started from the bottom, now we here. We started from the bottom, now we here.
We started from the bottom, now we're on the top, teaching you the systems to get what we got. Colton Dixon's on the hooks, I break down the books. Z's bringing some wisdom and the good looks. As the father of 5, that's why I'm alive. So if you see my wife and kids, please tell them hi. It's the C&Z up on your radio, and now 3, 2, 1, here we go.
We started from the bottom, now we here. We started from the bottom, and we'll
Yes, 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 and
Oh,
yes. Dr. Z, we are in the air everywhere. It is ecstasy when you are next to me, and I have a megaphone with me today, Z. And everything is more classy when you have a megaphone. When you have a megaphone,
That cowbell.
think about this. If you go to a restaurant, think about this. We went
Right.
you took me to the Cardinal
Club.
on Friday for an exclusive meal. We had this thing called the Tomahawk, which is a beautiful. Z, explain what the Tomahawk was. It was a beautiful meal.
Well, it's Japanese Wagyu crossed onto Black Angus cattle here in the States. It comes from a certain ranch in Idaho, and it is it's a tomahawk cut. So you have, it's the bone-in tomahawk. You've got one side the ribeye. It's a ribeye.
Phenomenal.
Yeah, it's a ribeye.
So let's
cut.
pretend as Travis runs the restaurant. We're going to have Travis on the show.
Yeah.
Imagine that you explain to me, imagine you're the waiters here. I'll give you the megaphone.
Okay.
So I say, well, sir, what's on the menu? I want to make sure the folks, let me cue up my music first. Let me get my classy dinner music before we introduce today's guest. Let me get my classy dinner music. This is kind of that, imagine, because this restaurant it's pretty swanky. I feel like it felt like it was kind of a wine bar kind of a vibe. It had a classy, let me cue it up here. Here we go.
Oh, yeah.
All right, so they're like, hey, welcome to the Cardinal Club. Excuse me, sir, welcome to the Cardinal Club. Would you like dinner for 2? And I said, no, I have seats for 6. I'm meeting my good friend Dr. Zellner. And they seated me, and the waitress was dressed in all black, and you had your own locker there. And imagine what it would be like if I said, so waiter, what's on today's menu? And the waiter says,
all we have on today's menu is a tomahawk. That's it. You have to eat a tomahawk. That's all you can get is a tomahawk. How do you want your tomahawk cooked? How many tomahawks do you want?
No,
Answer me. What?
Let's do another situation. Imagine we go to a Catholic mass.
Okay, yeah.
And you can be the priest.
Father. I'm
the father.
I'm Father Z.
Okay, and I'm going to do a confession. And I would like for you, because the megaphone really takes emotional experiences and makes them more
we're in the little
vivid.
confessional booth.
So, sir, Father, I want to confess I did steal some batteries from Walgreens. And did you hear me, Father? Did you hear what I said?
No, I can't hear you. Can you speak up a little bit? I mean, we've got a church full of people here, and I can't quite hear you. There's a lot of noise out there. Can you talk a little louder, please? I can't hear you.
See, think about the romance on a first date. Imagine you're going out with Amy, great lady. Imagine looking across. Where did you meet Amy, by the way? Where did you meet her? Did you meet her?
At a restaurant.
So imagine you look across the room, you look at her, and you say,
hey, over there, are you going to use your salt?
Okay, so with that being said, that was a great segue introducing today's guest here. James, you know this guy.
Yes, sir, I do.
He wrote a book, and he wants to tell us about it. Who is this guy?
Jonathan Plaut, hailing from Boston.
Hey, guys.
Boston.
What's up, sir? How
Jonathan,
are you?
by the way, I wanted to let you know that was a live introduction. They have the band all here and everything, and Dr. Z and Clay were singing live.
Oh, yeah, singing live.
Well,
Fantastic.
we play the cowbells live.
Yeah.
It's a
Cowbell makes
as
everything
well
better.
as the megaphone. That's the only part that was live. But okay, so Jonathan, tell us about your book. Well, what's this new book you've been working on?
Sure. I've been a lawyer for about 25 years, and I went through my 1,500 lawsuits that I've handled during that time period, and I've taken basically the 16 or 17 most interesting cases, and I've written true law stories about them. So it's really for anyone who's interested in true law drama. There's criminal cases in there. There's civil cases, appellate cases. sports law cases, attorney malpractice cases, all sorts of things.
And I'm going to ask you a rude question because I know there's somebody out there thinking it. Okay, why would somebody want to buy the book? Because there's so many books out there. It sounds fascinating to me, but for somebody out there that they need maybe a little bit of a Bostonian sales pitch. I mean, why would somebody want to read this book?
Sure. Well, anyone who likes good stories will like this book, whether you're a lawyer who's been practicing for many years and you're interested in the finer points of law and legal practice, or if you're someone who is just a college student thinking about maybe, hey, do I want to go to law school? Do I want to be a lawyer?
Yeah.
Anyone that likes good stories that just you couldn't believe the situations that some of these folks got themselves into. It's pretty compelling.
Can you,
Jonathan, hold on a second.
Sure, yeah.
Have you thought about this? And I've heard this on the street, and I'm not sure if it's true or not. Is it true you get a free lobster with every book you buy? Is that true?
Yeah, but if you come get it in person, I'll even crack it for you.
Oh, there you go. So that's
Lobster.
another reason to get the book. Who doesn't like lobster?
That's right.
Now,
We're a full-service law firm.
Now, there's somebody out there that is, they're kind of going, I don't want to make a dumb legal mistake, and they want to learn from the dumb mistakes of others. And that person would be called all of our listeners. So for small business owners out there, I'm sure you've seen some epic, tragic, stupid decisions that small business owners have made. Can you give us some pro tips about what not to do to keep ourselves out of legal trouble as a small business owner?
Sure. I see it all the time. People that don't read their contracts before they sign them. They don't understand the contracts before they sign them. They don't know what they're obligating themselves to do. They don't know what the other side is obligated to do. They don't know what their rights are. They don't know what their alternatives are. If you ever have a question, either hire a lawyer or simply read the contract yourself before you sign it. It's pretty basic advice.
Read the contract before. Andrew, I've worked with a lot of great clients, and many of which who have said over the years, I mean, they've said, hey, I've never looked at my own contracts that I have my clients sign, nor have my clients looked at my contracts. Does that ever shock you, Andrew?
No, I mean, having worked with a lot of business owners and a lot of them working with a lot of their own clients, it's very common for people just not to read anything at all.
Jonathan, how long have you been an attorney?
Almost 25 years now. I started as criminal prosecutor in Boston, and then I actually took a job in Japan. My academic background is in the Japanese language, and I practiced law in Tokyo for about 2 years. Came back to Boston, and I've been practicing in Boston and New York for almost 25 years now, and I'm the chair of the Business Law Council of the Bar Association. So I've sort of been around the block.
Why?
Well, why have I been around the block? Because the block just keeps on going. I love the practice of law. I'm one of those lawyers, like James, who very, very much enjoys the practice of law, helping people get out of problems. I've even gotten a few people out of jail on constitutional errors by prosecutors. I've recovered millions and millions of dollars for people who have been injured by other people, and in fact, even by other lawyers. Attorney malpractice work is something that I have a particular interest in. So, yeah, it's a very diverse law practice, and it's a lot of fun.
I feel like if you feel like this is a bad question, Z, please tell me.
Okay.
I think a lot of our listeners hate attorneys. And I feel like this is
too bad.
I thought they do. And I feel like I want to know what stigmas you hear about attorneys all the time. Because what I see, Z, is a lot of people, business owners, you only hear one side of the story. They'll come to me and go, dude, my attorney, he has been taking money.
Jackwagging me.
He's just been screwing me. I'm getting bills for stuff I didn't agree to. He's not giving me any advice. He's not giving me any coaching, any mentorship, any legal advice. And it seems like people always ask me for an attorney recommendation after they've been taken advantage of. What's your take on the state of attorneys throughout this great country, these small business attorneys?
That's a great question. I have had great experience with lawyers. Lawyers are licensed to practice. They're all educated, and I've largely had a great experience with lawyers over the years, and I've met thousands and thousands of lawyers. There are some that are less pleasant than others. There are certainly some that try to take advantage of clients who almost by definition know less than them. But as a general rule, I believe lawyers generally are ethical, hardworking, fair, and they are governed by their regulatory board. So sometimes you hear people complaining, but, my clients, I like to think, really like me, and they really want to run things by me before they enter into transactions. And I think James feels the same way. I love being a lawyer. Being a lawyer is a great thing to do, and most people should be happy with their lawyers.
Now, I believe in your book you cover a wide range of legal stories, but don't lawyers tend to specialize in something, or are you more of a generalist, or what? Tell me about you. I just want to know: are you a specialist? Are you a generalist? Well, walk me through how you would classify yourself as an attorney.
Sure, I'm a specialist in litigation. Now, litigation is broad; it means any type of dispute resolution. So, in the book, I have a case where I was representing a heavyweight boxer, and he asked me to sue Don King, the great legendary boxing promoter who was the promoter for Mike Tyson and Muhammad Ali. And I ended up suing Don King, and the resolution of the case was that my guy got to box for the WBC World Boxing Council heavyweight gold belt, and he boxed and won out in Vegas, and he became the heavyweight champion of the world. I have a case in there where I represented a boat owner where the boat captain had been mutinied against out in Gloucester during one of the perfect storms out there. I have stories in there about I got a guy out of prison after spending over a year in jail, and he was incarcerated as a result of a violation by the prosecutor of my client's Sixth Amendment right, and the judge released him from jail. It was an amazing moment. I have stories about representing some well-known rock stars in various scrapes over the years. It's really just a interesting foray through a variety of legal fields. But there are lawyers out there who specialize in business transactions, and there's lawyers who specialize in intellectual property, and there's lawyers who specialize in tax matters or intellectual property or, as I just mentioned, or immigration, for example. I specialize in litigation, and often litigators sort of have the best stories, it seems.
Now, what's the title of your book one more time for someone thinking about picking up your book?
I'll Take the Case.
I'll Take the Case. So
I'll Take the Case.
See, you've heard about this. There's in New York, President Trump famously had to fight for the air rights for one of his buildings. He wanted to build a building, and he had to fight for the rights to build a building that tall because it could obstruct the view of others. Would you take a case there, Jonathan, if I wanted to sue Don King over air rights because I can't see the person in front of him because his hair is too tall?
Fauci.
Or behind him.
Yeah, it's very funny. Well, it could be. I would think that your damages would be low because you could simply switch seats with someone else, but maybe you could gently sort of push his hair down so he might not even notice, and you could see the boxing.
Jonathan, would you take the case, since your book is called "I'll Take the Case"? Would you, if I wanted to sue Clay for not playing enough cowbell on the show? Would you take that case?
What do you mean?
I definitely would.
I definitely
would.
Okay, good.
You always need cowbell. More
cowbell. There we go.
Okay, now I want to ask you this because I want to get into what kind of cases you would take and wouldn't take, and I'm being serious. Though. I want to ask you some real questions. See, I want some real questions,
real answers
on this real show with real people.
Hey, now remember this, Clay. Remember this. Take it easy on him because I've read where lawyers have feelings, allegedly. So be careful. Don't push.
That's right.
So here it is.
Alleged.
We know that throughout history, the last 20 years, Robert Kennedy Jr. has shown multiple times in a court of law, and he's won, that vaccine manufacturers have made vaccines that have crippled people. And they say, oops, and damages have been paid out. We know this is a fact. We now are going through Operation Warp Speed. Sulu, I need warp speed.
I can't give you any more, Captain.
Scotty, I need power. And Scotty's always like, do you want me to turn off the shields, Captain? Because he can't turn on the engine and the shields. Do you want me to turn off the shield? And Kirk always wants to fire off a shot.
Oh, yeah.
A vaccine.
He got to.
He's like, he likes that sound. He's Scotty. Scotty, I need to fire off a shot right now at the Klingons. And Scott, I can't give you any more power. It's Operation Warp Speed right now. So Trump is like, I need a shot. I need a shot. And Fauci's like, I can't give you any more power. And they're going, and you're starting to hear about this Moderna vaccine and a lot of the dangers, and we skipped the animal testing phase and all that. Would you take a lawsuit if somebody wanted to sue Dr. Fauci? Would you take a lawsuit like that?
Well, I think he's probably protected by some sort of governmental immunity. And I wouldn't sue a public health official simply for giving generalized advice. If someone were injured by a vaccine, theoretically you might have a claim against the vaccine manufacturer. But that's part of what the FDA's role is to make sure that only safe products and safe medicines get into the stream of commerce.
So can we sue the FDA?
Yeah, again, you'll have sort of an immunity problem.
Who could you sue? Can we sue you?
Bureau.
Can we sue me? Who could we sue?
Yeah. Well, I wouldn't sue you. I'd be too afraid of the deposition bills going up through the roof for the amount of time that we're talking. But you probably the manufacturer. But then at the end of the day, in a sense, there's a caveat emptor. The person is responsible often for their own actions, and taking a vaccine that has not been tested probably would the plaintiff would have some questions to answer him or herself.
So how do you decide what kind of cases you will take? I mean, how do you decide whether to take a case or not?
That's a good question. That's a good question. Well, and I think James could talk about this too, that if a lawyer is going to take a case on a contingent fee basis, they only get paid if they win. So the lawyer has to believe in three things with a good contingency fee case: that they're going to win on the issue of liability. In other words, the defendant did something wrong. Number two, there's substantial damages that the plaintiff has suffered. And number three, that the defendant has deep enough pockets to go after in the event that there is a settlement or a plaintiff's verdict. If you are taking a case on the defense, then theoretically you don't even really need to believe that your client is going to win in order to provide them a good and zealous and just full defense. Especially in criminal cases. Because in criminal cases, so often what you're doing as a lawyer is you are defending people who in fact did it. And Clay, actually, that's one of the questions I try to answer in the book, which is how does an ethical lawyer who represents people who are accused of crime defend someone who they actually believe did the crime? And it's a really interesting question, and I try to tackle that in the book.
James, we have a total of 400 seconds. Z, we have a total of 400 seconds left, maybe 372 seconds. I mean, it's very little time we have. Z, you go first. What question do you want to ask? Bring it hot. Overwhelm our guest. Make sure he leaves feeling like I want him to feel like it's an interview on CNN where it's a gotcha question. I want him to leave bitter.
No, I'll let James do that one.
Okay.
What case, just real quickly, did you fight through and you won that you thought I'm not going to win this?
Oh, well, that happens all the time.
Oh, really?
You win cases you think you should lose, and you lose cases that you think you should win. I mean, I remember being in a case in New York not too long ago where it was 10 days into a jury trial, and this is fascinating. We gave a closing argument to the jury. This was an insurance case. The jury went out to deliberate. We thought we were going to lose. The defense attorney comes out and speaks to us, and we settle the case while the jury actually has the case. And we tell the judge, we've settled the case, dismiss the jury. And we went out into the parking lot after having secured several hundreds of thousands of dollars for a client, and the jury came out and said, we were going to give the plaintiff nothing. What did you give him? So you lose cases that you should win. You win cases you should lose. You never know. And a lawyer just basically does the best job that he or she can.
Sure. Where can I buy your book? Where can our listeners buy your book?
You can buy it on Amazon.com. You can get it on your Kindle. You can get it at Barnes & Nobles or at Book Baby. It's widely available. I'll take the case. I think you'll enjoy it.
I'll take the case. Okay. James, you have time for the final question. 60 seconds on the clock. What do you got?
All right, so it's kind of like a statement and a question at the same time.
Oh, you,
Jonathan, don't you think?
You know, James.
So to add to your 3 points of whether or not to take your contingency case, don't you think that a good fourth point would be a sane client, given our recent experience?
Well, you definitely want a client that you know that in the trenches in front of a jury that they are going to be credible. And in addition, James, I'll add something to that. You want a situation where the plaintiff, him or herself, is not also liable for their own harms. You don't want a plaintiff with contributory negligence.
I tell you what.
So there's a lot of things to consider.
You are a wealth of wisdom, and I know a lot of our listeners are looking for an attorney. Do you represent clients all throughout the country or just in Boston?
I represent them all around the country. In fact, I have a number of international clients, West Coast, obviously New York, up and down the East Coast. Yeah, it's a national practice, and international practice too.
So what is your website there, sir?
You go to www.crmllp.com. That's Cohen Rasnick Plaut, LLP.com. I'll say it again, crmllp.com.
Brother, I appreciate you being here on today's show. You sound like you're smelling great. And everybody, check out the website here, crmllp.com. The book, I'll Take the Case. The author, the attorney, Jonathan Plaut. I appreciate you for being on today's show.
Yeah, well done.
Thank you so much. This was really a blast. Call anytime.
All right, John.
James, are you ready to end today's show?
You betcha.
All right, let's do it.
With a boom?
Yes.
All right.
James,
Yes.
what are your theories on the relationship between Batman and Robin?
I think that they are good friends.
James,
Yes.
both men wore their underwear over their clothes. What is your theory about the relationships? The relationship between Batman and Robin?
Yeah, I've got no opinion on that.
Answer the question.
I didn't realize that.
We'll end the show with a boom. 3, 2, 1, boom. Robin, put down the ladies' home journal. We must fight. Batman, they're starting to sizzle. They're all dangerous. They're sizzling. Ah!